Hey everyone, anyone. I don't even know if people are come to my channel anymore. Ego boost, because you can see yourself. Ego boost. Yeah. Look at me, everyone. Look at me. Yeah. Social media. Lame. So I'm going live today with Austin, my friend. We're going to talk about biomagnetism. And maybe you get something out of it. Maybe you won't. I don't care. Austin's a buddy of mine for a while now. He's out in Arkansas. He did a really cool plant test with Orgonite with sunflowers in his garden. So really big sunflower with the Orgonite next to it, and the one that didn't have Orgonite was like a foot shorter. So yeah, so I just took a magic and a cognitive, so I'm feeling great. We're getting chemtrailed like crazy today, and that's always a bummer. And there's just so much going on. All the time there's stuff going on. So what's going on, everyone? What is going on? I don't even know if I've gone live, and I don't even know how long. It's been a while. But yeah, so let's see if we can get Austin on here. I think magnets are pretty cool. Here's a magnet. Here's a rare earth neodymium magnet. And here's a tensor ring. These are going to go in Orgonite. And biomagnetism has a lot of healing potentials when it comes to, uh, all the illnesses and diseases people have these days. If you research biomagnetism, you'll see that it actually is something that's really working for a lot of people. And biomagnetism is, placing magnets in certain points of the body to, bring the right amount of energy there and to bring more balance and homeostasis. And we have an expert we're going to bring on today to talk about it. He sent me a video of him speaking recently at a conference, and I thought it was pretty cool. So we've been meaning to have this live for a while now, and let me see if I can get him on here. So yeah, what else is going on, man? It's been a crazy ride this year, really crazy ride. That's pretty much all I could say about that. But we are learning a lot, and hop on the Telegram channel. That Telegram chat's got some good information. And, we're entering a period where it's going to be our time here. It's our time. It's going to be our time, so make sure you keep the faith. Keep the faith, and make sure you have a spiritual connection to your creator, because that is very important during these times. And, if you don't have faith in anything, then what's the point of living life? I went on a live yesterday. I hopped on a live. I saw Robert Michael and Alex Zek on a live yesterday. And yeah, I won't get into it. Let's see. To anyone who joined, yeah, I'm waiting for Austin to come on. And if anyone wants to hop on real quick, say what's up. Let's see. How do you invite people on? Here we go. Invite to join. There we go. Austin. There he is. Okay. So I've sent an invite out. Oleg. I just invited Oleg, my boy Oleg out in New York. I just invited him to. Uh-oh. We have someone coming on. Who's coming
Yo,
on?
what's up, brother?
Oleg, what is going on, man?
What's going on with you, brother? Good to see you over here, man.
I was gonna get on you too. I was gonna get on with my buddy Austin, and we're gonna talk about biomagnetism.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, actually. Is he back?
Magnets.
Is he on here already, or is Austin there?
I don't know what he's doing. He said he's making some tea, and he just got off the phone call, so I don't know. What are you doing? You're driving around?
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you, like the first time I had experience with orgone, like I got one of those orgone cloudbusters from South Africa with a big crystal in the bottom, and I put it up in my backyard in Staten Island, and all the birds like from the neighborhood were like right around there, like in that whole spot, and everything was growing like lovely. So it's a
Yeah.
powerful thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah. My my green beans. I have a chembuster, like a 7 foot chembuster, and my green beans grow up it, and they've just been going crazy. Like even with the sun going on its outer track away from us, uh, they're still just like pow, green beans. Yeah.
Yeah, I got mine, brother.
Oh man, that looks good on you. Yeah, it looks
It
good.
feels
Tensor technology, baby.
it feels good. I have a lot of people in Russia and Ukraine. They're asking me, "What is it? What is it? How does it work?" And we have some people in Russia also doing it. I should link you guys up just to see like the difference. You know, like
Yeah,
how everybody's getting into the alpha frequency together. You know.
yeah, yeah. Orgon and tensor technology is really special, magical.
How you been
Yeah.
feeling? How's your energy levels now?
Well, just started my little microdose thing, so I'm feeling kind of weird. I don't even want to be talking right now in front of a screen. I just gonna kind of be out like goofing around doing something fun. But I want to talk to my buddy Austin here, so let's get this going. I think he joined.
Hey, I'll see you later. I'm looking forward to the chat. I'm gonna leave, but
All
I'll
right,
see you guys
all
later.
right, buddy.
Blessings,
Love you,
blessings.
man.
Love you,
Take
bro.
care. See ya. All right, all right. Here we go. Austin, where you at, my man? Are you coming in or what? You coming in or what? Where you at? Bone and Shadow. There he is.
What's
What?
up?
Okay, so why do you call yourself Bone and Shadow?
Actually, it came to me, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I was thinking about the reality of everything has these two components of physicality and spirituality. So we're partly like bone and this flesh material, but then the shadow part of it is more of that spiritual aspect. So it's like we're
Nice,
both made of the bone and of the shadow.
nice.
So,
Well, I introduced everyone to you sort of while we were waiting that you are a biomagnetism expert and that you were giving you were giving a lot of knowledge at a seminar recently. So why don't you just get right into it? Like, what is biomagnetism? How is it helping people? And what is the concept behind it exactly?
sure. So recently, I don't know, I guess it's just universal timing, but it's been gaining momentum. Not only people I know are more curious about it. I think people are looking for better solutions than what we were offered with CV, if you catch my drift. And and so people I think, are starting to become more hungry for different solutions. Um, with all that said, biomagnetism is a fairly simple approach to wellness in the fact that we're really trying to focus on the body itself as a whole, uh, which should be priority number one for really anybody that is trying to heal from anything, or from to just detox from all the toxic things that we have in our environment. Um, so basically, what it is essentially, because we are electromagnetic beings, we're able to take specific strength magnets, and we're able to utilize that with both polarities, both north and south, and we utilize those in specific pairs of the body. We're always working in pairs, which kind of goes back to that whole bone and shadow idea, right?
Hmm.
We're only using the north side of a magnet. We're not only using the south side. In our line of work and therapy, if you're placing one magnet somewhere, that means there's going to be a corresponding magnet to go elsewhere to complete the circuit or the resonance there. Um, the
What would
whole
be an example? What would be an example of like if you place the one side of a magnet on a certain part of the body, where would be the other side be?
Sure.
Like,
So glad you asked. So, for example, let me move my tripod back here, and maybe I can give you a physical example for those people that are actually watching. Um, so, what we would be using is something like this would be a black, or the south side of a magnet, and this would be the north side, so the red. Typically, the way that we are are taught or that we're teaching the therapy is that the right half of the body traditionally is usually where black placements are going to go, and then the left half of the body is going to be where red placements go. That speaks along the line of polarity, and once you dive into the therapy a lot deeper, there are certain things that maybe we're trying to affect dysfunction in an organ, say the spleen. Well, the spleen is only on the left side of the body, so there's always exceptions to the rule. But primarily, let's say that we would be looking at a pair, let's say black, for example, would be going over the liver area. And then maybe the corresponding pair for that might be red on the bladder. And so trying to do there is essentially balance out that circuit. Now, the only reason that we would even know that, I guess the question would be, how do we know where the magnets need to go in general?
Right.
Say you have who's been struggling with thyroid issues or endocrine adrenal problems. We hear this all the time, especially on Instagram. It's a never-ending feed of people trying to detox with this smoothie or this particular herbal tincture, what have you. The way that we go about trying to figure out how the magnets go where they go is through a process called muscle testing, which a lot of people are familiar with in the holistic alternative wellness space. But this is basically the idea that we can tap into the innate knowledge of the universe through the etheric field, but also through the body. I always give this example anytime that I'm trying to teach people about magnetism, whether it's going to be a therapist or just a layman who's trying to understand the concept. But so I'll have you do this with me, Dave. If you would just raise your hand, and I want you to make a fist. Okay. Now, how hard was that to do?
Not hard.
Right. It's very easy. Now, the bigger question is, do you know how that occurs?
How?
Right. There's a whole host of processes that have to happen in order for you to make a fist. But really what you did was you used your intention, right? I asked you to do something and then you intended to do it. You actually made the fist with just intention. So this really speaks to a bigger question of like, well, how does the body know how to do that, right? So like if we're watching an infant and they start to learn how to walk and crawl, nobody ever has to teach them how to make a fist or how to grab onto something. It's innately programmed in, right? The brain will intuitively learn, but what we're essentially doing is going back to the fist idea, the brain already knows the proper amount of neurons that need to fire in order for that muscle chain to do its job. And I can sit here and talk to you and open and close the hand and keep making the fist all day long. I don't have to know how this works. It just does, right? So through the process of muscle testing, what we do is we tap into that exact same software, so to speak. The way this would look for us is usually we would have a client laying face up, fully clothed on a massage table. And I can actually go down to the end of the massage table and look at their feet. And in fact, I'll do you one better. 1 second.
Okay. Yeah. This is super interesting. You're not going to hear about biomagnetism in the mainstream. And that's why we're here. Introduce these concepts to you, and maybe they can help a family member. Maybe you can get in touch with Austin, message him. Maybe he can help.
So we have these, almost knocked something over. We have these wonderful special shoes that we use. 2 reasons. One, if it's a rainy day and a bunch of clients are coming in, you're not having to deal with muddy feet. But 2, just for us, it's a uniform way for us to be able to measure the muscle test procedure we're using so that there's consistency. And so what this really looks like is I'm essentially asking the body questions about what is happening with this person. As a lot of times what, a doctor might tell you is, oh, you have a strep infection, or maybe you got, you're hypothyroid, but we can't fix it. You just have to be on these medications. For us, what we're looking for are different pathogens, different infections, also emotional states that are going on that can physically manifest disease in the body. And so I need to be able to ask the brain what's going on, because it already knows the information. So the way that we would do that is I would have the client's feet in these shoes, okay? And I can do, and it's kind of tricky for the camera to pick it up, so maybe I can, I don't know. Okay, so what we're looking for, a normal person is going to have a relaxed posture on a massage table where their feet are kind of gently hanging off. And what we're looking for is even feet, where the two soles of the heels are fully even. I don't know if you can see that. It's a terrible example on the camera. But essentially what I'm doing is I would be rocking, gently rocking the feet, and this encourages the muscle chain to relax. And then I'll start to ask, is there something going on in the thyroid? And if it's a yes, the feet will physically contract. So it might look more like this, where you see the heels now are uneven. Okay. So that would be gauging a way for me to understand that the body's trying to tell me, yes, something's going on here. If there's not anything wrong with the thyroid or whatever we're asking about, the feet typically will remain even. So nothing will go on. Because we way to communicate with the internal system of the body, just like with the fist idea. Okay. And so usually when you're first starting out, you have to learn and know, just like we would learn and try to understand how to ride a bike. We would try to understand how the body responds in a binary format. So when you ask questions, they have to be specific, but they need to be a yes or no format. And this way, engage that fist or open hand contraction. Does that make sense? So feet, it would be a yes response would be a contraction. A no would be neutral. Nothing happens. Okay. So that's our way to kind of communicate with the body. Once we have the software to do so, then we can start to understand where it is that we need to be placing pairs and why we need to be placing pairs.
Okay, so hold on. So someone has an issue with their thyroid. Someone has some sort of imbalance in their body somewhere.
Right.
They come to you to figure out if this biomagnetism therapy is gonna help them. You say, okay, so you ask yes and no questions. Do you have a problem with your thyroid? And they say yes. They have the shoes on, and the way the shoes move is going to tell you what exactly. That's where I kind of lost.
Okay, so that's essentially our way of being able to hone in and figure out whether or not, because I've had clients before who came in with, kidney problem, right? But turns out the infection is actually elsewhere in the body. So, a doctor will look at it and they'll say, well, you've got this bacteria and it's affecting the kidney or whatever. So what I'm doing is I'm just simply trying to glean the information from the body through this exchange of asking whether or not something is going on, and the body will respond with a muscular contraction. So, and it'll do this too. There's an imbalance in the body. I can physically take a magnet, and let's say we use the kidney or the heart or whatever. Let's say that you have a heart issue going on. If there's actually infection there, which is usually what most disease boils down to, is inflammation or infections, which obviously is through diet and emotional states and whatever. But for whatever reason, you have inflammation going on there, subacute infections, as we would call them. I can physically place a magnet over that area. And then if I go and look at the feet and I just lift them up as they are, if there's an imbalance there, the muscles actually retract.
Now, why are the feet indicators of imbalances?
So because we carry polarity on our hands and in our feet, when you place, or when I use my intention or say my own electromagnetic force through the use of intention or sheer will, you interrupt the polarity. And what that does is it causes, like, normally if you're standing you know, just as a normal human being, your polarital circuit, if that's even a word, polarital, your circuit is normal. When you interrupt that circuit, either with a strong enough magnetic field or with your body's own electromagnetic field, a shift in pH change happens, and that causes the muscle chain in those polarity carrying limbs, which are your hands and your feet, or your arms and your legs. It'll cause a retraction to occur. It's basically just an interruption in the electrical signal.
Okay, so the limbs, the hands, the feet are a good indicator that there is an imbalance somewhere in the body. Am I
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So if
So this,
one's longer than the other, or
right. If one is longer than the other, then that will tell you, yes, there's an imbalance going on. And of course, that's just a very, very basic way of seeing this therapy.
okay,
So
there's an imbalance somewhere, but we don't know where.
that's why you want to be very specific, because, for practice, like I've been doing this now for 4 years or so. And so we're very specific with our questioning, just like I could, ask you to open and close your fist. That's a pretty broad, generic action, where I might be going, I need you to wiggle just the tip of your index finger. So we're getting much more specific in our
Right.
questioning. So say, for example, a client comes into me and, they say, I've got an issue with my thyroid. I would say, okay, are you on any medications? What type of diet are you on? A lot of different questions to help me be a better detective, so that I can start to figure out, like, what's actually going on with the thyroid. So a good example, client I had a few months ago actually was diagnosed hypothyroid. And so we were trying to get at the root cause of why that's going on. And she's been on medication, and she even takes iodine. She has what we would refer to, you and I both are strong proponents of healthy eating, specifically vegan diets, and how much benefit you can gain from that. So she's been doing all of that stuff, still not having kind of the foothold or the extra gain that she needs to get her thyroid back on track. So she came to me because she's confused. So through a series of questions to figure out that there are infections in the thyroid that needed to be cleared. But not only that, then on the emotional aspect of it, I started asking her body questions about, is there an emotion that is attached to the thyroid dysfunction? And the retraction on her foot was huge. So, okay, something's going on there. And
Wait. So the retraction has something to do with when you specifically ask a question?
right. So when I specifically ask a question,
I see.
I'll be using the feet as
Cool.
the computer screen, right?
Yeah.
It's a way for the body to go, yep, something's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If they don't do anything, then the body's going, nope, no problem here. Continue on with whatever line of questioning you're asking.
Wow.
It's fast.
Wow.
And even after having done this now for 4 years, like, every time is still magic to me that this is even possible to do with a human body. And when you're first learning, you get a lot of yeses and nos that are what we refer to as false positives. It's just like riding a bike, right? You're going to ride it for a second, then you kind of wobble and fall off, until you get good at it, and then you start to see. And then, once you've done that, and like for me, I've had clients who had either blood work or urinalysis done, where they're going, yes, there's definitely an infection here, or maybe I wasn't told that they had an infection. They just wanted to see if I was able to find it. And then I get a yes, and I go, yeah, sure enough, you have an E. coli infection. And they go, I've got blood
Wow.
work that shows that I do have an E. coli infection. So I
Okay.
could ask
So,
the
okay.
does this person have any E. coli infection? Yes or no? Like, you can get that specific with it. And their body,
Wow.
yes or no, it doesn't. It's really fascinating from the standpoint of trying to understand, especially, the rabbit hole you and I've gone down with, the virus model, bacterial models. How do we actually get sick? I personally have come to land sort of in this middle ground of like, if your emotional state is bad, you're not getting good rest, you're not getting proper nutrition, and then say you encounter something like strep throat, right? So if I put you in the perfect scenario where I deprive you of sleep, I give you Burger King every day, and then I stress you out, and then I swab your throat with strep throat, you'll get strep throat. Like, that's a guarantee. But then you can take a completely healthy person who has a really good mental state, gets to meditate, good sleep, good water, blah, blah, blah. And if I swab their throat with strep, they may not get sick. So it tells you that just like we've talked about before, the model is, it's halfway true, halfway not true. There's more factors going on than just I cough, you get sick, or, you know, and I've even seen, you know, really healthy people. I think a lot of that really depends on the emotional state.
Emotional state? You break up a little bit.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The emotions, I think I've come more and more to believe that the emotions play a much larger role than the actual sickness.
Well, that's like German new medicine, and I don't know if you've looked into that.
Yeah, Dr. Hammer,
Okay, yeah.
prime example, correlating these survival mechanisms that we have built in, where we associate it with illness, and your body's actually trying to tell you a message, right? You're sick, but it's because you haven't been paying attention to your emotional state, you know?
Yeah. Epigenetics, German new medicine. Yeah, I think we're learning a lot of things about the way our mind is kind of can create a sickness or illness or imbalance.
Yeah.
And then the other factors, of course, are more related to diet and stress and you know, the accumulation of toxins, and you're backed up. Your lymphatic system is not draining, right? So we have overtoxicity, lack of nutrition, but then you also throw in, your mental state. Yeah. So.
And what's really cool about being able to utilize biomagnetism is that, you know, if you have a person who has been so overburdened for so long, slapping them on a healthy diet is going to do wonders, but it may not get them over the hump of, you know, because the body is very good at playing symbiosis with issues. You know, I've seen this before with people who do, you know, detox, fasting, juicing, all organic, and yet they still have joint pain, and they're trying to understand and unlock why that's going on. But then, you know, when they come to me, it might be, well, you've got infections in the joint that your body just has not been able to deal with yet. You know, at this point in time, it's basically doing a dance of like, you're giving it all the proper nutrition and you're doing all the steps that you need to do. But it has reached sort of a coexistence with these infections. So what the magnets are physically doing is essentially providing the pH environment so that the body can deal with it. It's sort of allowing a temporary boost in creating a bubble in a way. So what happens is, on a physical level, magnetic fields will interact with the hydrogen ion in the body. And hydrogen, of course, plays a massive role in all kinds of different functions in our system. One of the big functions that it's responsible for is process and elimination of waste. So it's used to kind of move things into the lymph system, help to create apoptosis and cellular death, so on and so forth, which is why, you know, everybody always talks about pH in our communities in, you know, natural healing, but a lot of people don't understand what pH actually is. And, you know, it's really just a measurement of electrical value in a liquid. So what we're doing is we're positioning or moving that electrical value around in order to help the body start to heal itself. Because the magnets can't heal anything. They're just providing the environment so that the body will start to do its job.
Okay. So by placing a magnet in a certain part of the body that we have discovered, with the body telling us that there's an imbalance there with the
Right.
feet or the arms, limbs, whatever, by placing a magnet at that point, and then how do we find the other part of the body to put the other side of the magnet?
Right. Excellent question. So for practitioners and people who are learning biomagnetism for the first time, we're given a set number of points to work with. And that was all discovered and or pioneered by a medical doctor in Mexico by the name of Dr. Isaac Goiz Duran. Dr. Goiz went to an energy medicine conference back in the 80s, and the head physician of NASA, this is how the story goes anyway, the head physician of NASA, Dr. Richard Beringermeyer, that's a mouthful, was giving a talk on how basically his theory was that we all suffered from magnet deficiency syndrome, because the Earth's magnetic field has degraded over time, and because we don't do enough grounding, that we're not getting the proper amounts of magnetization that we need to sustain health. So Dr. Goiz goes to this conference, but Dr. Beringermeyer was only talking about one side of the magnet. And he said that they observed the astronauts, which you and I kind of have a right, but whatever high altitude experiments they're doing, they did notice that the astronauts would come back with this leg length discrepancy. This is how the whole leg thing even got brought into the mix. So because they were undergoing a lot of different physicals and they had to be in peak condition or whatnot, they were really confused about this quarter inch to an inch discrepancy of the feet being off. So eventually, Dr. Beringermeyer proposed that it was because they were outside of the Earth's magnetic field, or the concentration of the field on the ground, that was causing a physiological distress in their polarity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then Dr. Goiz is going, oh, this is an interesting idea, but I wonder, why is he not using both polarities? So what they were doing is they were experimenting with the astronauts. They would put North Pole magnets in the soles of the shoe, and they would have in both shoes, and they would have them wear those for weeks. And eventually that discrepancy would even itself back out. But Dr. Goiz, in Mexican culture, duality is very heavy. So he didn't understand, like, well, you don't just have the sun, right? You have sun and moon. And he said, so I'm really curious why he's not using the South Pole of the magnet too. So he said, I'm going to start playing with this. The first client that he saw that following week was an AIDS patient. He had HIV. And he said, you know, I just came back from this energy medicine conference. I'm really curious to play around with this idea if you want to be a guinea pig. So long story short, he basically drug the magnet around, had an assistant drag the magnet around, and he was looking at the feet for this discrepancy to happen. He was like, my theory is correct. If there's an imbalance somewhere in this HIV patient, the feet should shorten just like the astronauts, right?
Right.
So he eventually finds that point, and then he said, aha, well, now I got to figure out where the other one goes. So then the process all over again until they find the corresponding point. So in 1988 was the first pair that was found. From that point up until mid 2000s, he basically would just document all these different imbalance points that he found, so that we're handed sort of like the biomagnetism Bible.
Right.
We have all these points, but due to, like you said, things in our environment, over toxicity, different heavy metals, chemtrails, whatever we're looking at, now we're faced with, we may not just have those points that we were given. Like there may still be new points. Like this therapy is pretty new in its infancy, really.
Yeah.
30, 40 years old. So to circle back, the way that we would look for that corresponding point is just by asking the body, well, where does the black magnet need to go? Or where does the red magnet need to go? And then you say, does it go somewhere in the head? Does it go somewhere in the neck, somewhere in the thorax, the abdomen? Like where does it give me somewhere to kind of focus? And then once you get that yes response, let's say it was in the abdomen, then I need to go through the points in the abdomen. So then I would go, okay, well, we've got all these different organs, nerves, blood vessels going on here in the abdomen. So let me start asking the body, do you want the red magnet on, the liver, the spleen, the transverse colon?
So
Like,
wait, are you asking them verbally and then measuring the feet, or are you placing the magnet in different points and then checking the feet?
so originally I was taught that you would place a magnet and then check the feet, but going on into the therapy, you begin to understand that because we're all connected through the ether, that you don't even need that. I can just ask their body. So I'm really just asking with
Wow.
my intention. And most of the time for me, what that'll actually look like is kind of like just under my breath. Sometimes I'm just asking inside my mind. But you do have to get clear what you want, kind of like Joe Dispenza talks about, with meditation. Like, it really does take a very focused mind in order to get a correct answer. And so, yeah, sometimes it'll just look like me sitting there rocking the feet and I'm not saying anything. I'm doing that all in my head. But
You're asking mentally, but you
right.
also ask verbally too.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, if I get a response that's not, maybe it looks like a yes, I'll ask out loud. And I think for me, that's just more of a strengthening of that
To
intention.
confirm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is there actually something in the liver? Yep, sure enough. And then the way you verify that is you would take a magnet and you can place it over that point. And then if there's a physical imbalance there, without your intention being involved, you will physically see your magnetic field is causing a disruption in the polarity.
So wait, you're using the Mexican Mexican doctors' Bible, right, to
Right.
figure out that this point corresponds. This is where I want to put the magnet. If we have an imbalance here, I want to put the other side of the magnet over here.
Right. Now, for example, let's say for things that are pretty common, like you would have, I don't know, we could say like pneumonia, strep throat, UTI, fibromyalgia, AIDS, Lyme disease, anything like that. Like your kid has a fever and he's got snot coming out his nose. We have protocols, for those pairs. So I'm not really having to hunt that down. Really, at that point, I'm just asking, okay, does little Timmy have pneumonia? Yes or no? And if okay, then I'm going to utilize these points that are already laid out.
Okay, so then once you identify where you need to put both sides of the magnet,
Right.
what do you do exactly? Do you hold the magnet on there for a certain amount of time?
Yep.
Or
Normally, what we would do there, we would find the amount of pairs necessary in order to rebalance the body. And I basically tape those pairs on wherever they're needing to go. And then depending on your latitude in relation to the equator will determine how long you actually have to cook, how long you have to sit there with the magnets on. So the closer you get to the equator, the shorter amount of time is. So like in Ecuador, you can leave the magnet pairs on for 3 minutes and that's it. Generally in the US, anywhere like say where you and I are in terms of latitude, it's about 15 minutes. Around New Jersey, New York, it's about 16 to 18 minutes. Norway is going to be 25 minutes. So the further away you get, the longer the time is because of the degradation of the magnetic field in relation to the equator.
wow.
And what's interesting about that is that you can, let's say we'll use thyroid to liver as an example, right? So maybe I've got this pair of thyroid liver on. If I place the black magnet over the thyroid and I check the feet and there's a discrepancy, and then I place the red magnet over the liver to balance it out, that discrepancy in the foot relaxes because I've completed the circuit, okay? And so after about 5 minutes, you can take the red magnet off and you can observe that the discrepancy is not quite as large as it was when you started, which tells you that the body is balancing it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Really what that equates to and what that looks like if you were to try and measure this in some format. There's a couple of videos on YouTube you can see of Dr. Goy's working with a doctor from Spain, and they took blood work under dark field microscopy, and they reviewed this woman's blood sample before biomagnetism and the red blood cells were stacked. So the rouleau effect is what they call that, where they're not freely moving. The oxygenation of the blood cells is very poor. And so then what they did after biomagnetism was they took another blood sample, and what you could observe is that the blood cells were now free flowing.
Mm.
Really what's occurring is the hydrogen is moving around in the body the way that it's supposed to. It helps to bring oxygen to the blood, which life is in the blood, right? And so it's allowing the body to start functioning more optimally and more efficiently, which is why you'll see that discrepancy start to shorten up even after just 5 minutes, because it sort of accelerates this process for the body to start doing what it's supposed to.
Now, how would you measure the discrepancy with hands or arms? Would it just be like one arm is longer than the other? Or?
Yeah, I'll move us back again here. And so normally what we would do is, let's say that I hold my arms out, and here you can see that they're even, and I'm extending them as far as I can, right? Now, if I can muscle test myself, or I can place a magnet on myself, but if I muscle test myself, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to knock my hands together. I'm going to keep them extended, okay? But I'm going to ask my body to show me a yes. And what you'll observe here, and it's hard to see, I could be tricking you, right? But I hope that you trust me. No, I'm not. I'm still fully extending, but you'll see there's a discrepancy here, okay? Now, if I continue to knock and I just let go of my intention and quit asking for the yes, you'll see that my hands will extend back to even. So what that would look like if, say, I were to see a client, like I've got a friend who is a paraplegic, right? So she's wheelchair bound, and she gets a lot of neuropathic pain from being in the wheelchair. She, her legs don't work correctly. So I can't really muscle test her legs. So I'll use her arms, and I'll basically just grab her wrists and I'll use them like I would feet. I'll just gently rock them together. And then when a retraction actually starts to happen, you'll see it shorten up.
And and that's when you're asking her, do we have a problem?
Well, usually we have
here?
scan protocol that we go through. So I'll be asking about specific pathogens first. So I might be asking, let's say she got, a mosquito bite. There are certain pathogens that mosquitoes might carry that are directly transferred to the blood. So I might ask, does she have chikungunya? Does she have malaria? Does she have whatever, bacterial load I'm looking for?
And the body will respond.
Yeah. And so,
wow.
I'll send you a video on it.
That's mind-boggling in itself, that the body will answer, right?
So, yeah, the physician that trained me in the therapy, his name's Dr. Garcia, Dr. Luis Garcia. You can look him up on online. His website is usbiomag.com. I'll have to send you a video that he's got on YouTube of him doing a full session, just so you get a better idea of what it looks like.
Okay.
But it's fascinating. And, the cool thing for me is that I've actually been able to see real results. Many of the people that you follow that started following me when, Christy and I were going through our cancer journey, I was actually doing magnets on her, and we were getting blood work weekly. And so I was able to physically see the change in the red blood cells, and specifically the white blood cell counts. Was really interesting for me because we got blood work that was pre-magnets and then blood work that was post. Now, cancer is a whole other topic. That's what you were referring to. When you heard me talking at the seminar, I do a full presentation on cancer just because it's obviously a passion of mine now.
Well, are you going to say that there was more white blood cells after the biomagnetism therapy?
So, if I've got it, 1 second, I'll see if I've got it.
Okay, because that would be mind-boggling right there. Just to know, we're pretty much made up of germs, bacteria, and white blood cells. So that's pretty much our immune system, if you will. But I probably shouldn't say that on here. Got to keep the certain illusions of how people get sick going, right? Yeah, can't say too much. I can't say anything at all. In fact, my backup channel recently got deleted. I didn't even post anything on there except vegan activism stuff. So yeah, can't really say much these days at all. That's why I do mostly everything on Telegram. Anyways, this is really fascinating. Biomagnetism therapy. This is really, really fascinating. The body will answer you uh, and will show where the imbalance is, you know, through the limbs. I mean, did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's how the body will literally answer if that's where an imbalance is. That's crazy. And then it would make sense to put the magnets in certain points to create more balance. That's amazing. Okay.
You'll be able to see this, and I'll kind of walk you through and explain what you're looking at here. So, here's a good example uh, of what it might look like for a cancer patient. Because their body's in an active healing mode, essentially, which a lot of people view cancer in a different way. But for us, we're looking at it. Not only is the body's polarity completely dropped, shifted, there's not enough energy to make ATP, there's all these different things going on. But you can measure that through white blood cell count, because the white blood cells are trying to remedy infection and heal you. And so, one second, doggy is trying to bug me.
It's all right. So we're going to hop off in a sec here,
Yep.
but this will be a good way to maybe end it, is just to see the evidence that you accumulated with
Right. So let me give you the highest
Percy.
cell count, then I'll give you biomagnetism. Yeah. All right. All right. So this sample was taken on October 12th of 2020, right?
Okay.
What you're seeing here, you can see, yeah, right here, this number is looking at neutrophil. Okay, neutrophil is one of the many white cells in the body, but its primary responsibility is to deal with infection. So this was pre-biomagnetism. We actually did our first session the night after this was taken. So we didn't get a follow-up blood work until the next week. Here's the follow-up blood work. So crazy. So now what you're seeing is that blue number of neutrophils, which was at like 11,000, that's out of range. The reference range is here, right? Somewhere in 12 to 1800. Completely drops back into range after magnets. Now, if we had had the time to show you for weeks on end the trend before magnets, where those blood cells were very high, and then as soon as we did one session, they all dropped back into normal range.
Now, why did they drop? Because there wasn't as much need for those rescue repair cells to kind of come in there. Was that
Right.
the?
Because essentially, once we placed all the pairs that we needed to, which correlate to these different infections going on in the body, and with a cancer patient, there's so many infections. Once you start to clear those, the body is able to cool off. It's able to relax, right? Fight or flight response starts to switch back to rest and digest. The white blood cells attack, clear out the nasty cells it needs to. And so then they get a break. And again, the Rouleau effect for the red blood cells becomes a lot more fluid. So everything starts to become more like homeostasis. Yeah,
That is amazing.
it is. It's really fascinating.
Well, everyone, I think this is good, because if we go too much longer, probably we'll lose. People can't really watch more than an hour. But if anyone would like to more information, follow Bone and Shadow Austin here. Just go to the top here, click his profile, give him a follow, message him. I've known Austin for years, super nice guy, very down to earth, wants to help, has a great heart of gold. And I think you are absolutely bringing amazing knowledge on this subject to light.
And thank you so much for for spending time with me. And just for anybody else that may be interested, this therapy also, we didn't really have time to dive into it, but also works remotely. And we're essentially, manipulating the quantum field in order for that to occur. So that's
Wow.
where you are in the world. I've got clients in London and Norway. I've got some clients where you are, Dave, in California, where we've been able to see these measurable results. So it's not just woo woo. And what I do tell people is, if it was woo woo, you're always going to have a couple of people who just want to do the therapy because they feel like it makes them feel good. But most people are not going to be willing to spend the time or money if it's not giving them results. So the proof is in the pudding. And yeah, so if anybody is interested, I'd be happy to work with them. Doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Do you have a website that people can go to besides your Instagram where they can, or is there anything?
Other than Dr. Garcia's website, I will be getting a website at some point, but if they want to
Yeah.
learn more about biomagnetism, I am one of the certified therapists on his website, and they can learn a little bit more about what the therapy does. And that is usbiomag.com.
Okay.
They can obviously reach out to me through Instagram or email if they want. Email hollowdesign@yahoo.com.
Okay.
Facebook.
usbiomag.com.
Yep, that's usbiomag.com.
Okay, and that's Luis's website. You're one of the certified. Okay, got it. So I'll link that. I'll share this video so people can watch it again.
Yep.
usbiomag.com. And then, yeah, follow Bone and Shadow Austin. And great dude and good friend of mine. And thank you for doing your Orgonite tests over the years to help.
Well, there's full overlap between Orgonite and what we're doing with magnets. It's all working with the same energy. And
Yeah.
it's in your Orgonite, which I'm real happy to see. But it's this movement of energy. We're working with nature. So, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Much
Love
love
you,
to
man.
everybody out there as well.
Yeah. Good hanging with you. And love you. And we'll share this. And best of luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good week. Have a good weekend.
You too.